Hi guys, I'm back again today. It's your boy Billy, your host, and today this episode means a lot to me, and I want to share my story. I want to share a part of me that many of you don't know. You know, my journey chasing my dream of becoming a professional football player, losing my dad at a very young age. You know, I've always said that, you know, losing my dad at a young age changed the trajectory of my life. Not just my life, but my career also. And, you know, seeing my dad on Mex every day, how it's inspired me, you know, to want to, live healthy, take care of my health and my body and all of that. And, you know, there are lots of young football players out there, you know, who want to play football, who want to play football in the highest level. And I just want to share my experiences. Football is like, it's a sport that a lot of things are required, man. If you don't, you know, if you make the wrong move, it can literally affect your career. You know, I made so many mistakes, and I don't want young football players out there who want to play football in the highest level. I don't want them to make the same mistake that I made. So that's why I felt like, I want to share my story, and hopefully it will help a lot of your football players out there, and to make the right decisions, and hopefully help them to achieve their dreams. Firstly, I think I have to start by I have always loved football when I was a kid. I've always loved football when I was in primary school. I was always playing football. If people who know me as a football player, they know how much I love the game. Everyone knows I love football so much, my family, my parents. And everything started when, after my high school, I left high school. I think I left high school 2012. I wrote my WAEC exams 2012, and that was the point I said to myself that I wanna play football. I wanna pursue a career in football. And after my exams, I remember having this discussion with my dad. My dad loved education so much. He never had, because back then, in the 1950s, education was not really that of a big thing. And, I remember my dad, he told me stories of, how his dad was like, come on, you should go and, look for work. You should go and look for what to do. What do you mean want to go to school? It wasn't really a big thing back then. And he was always crying, seeing his friends going to school, and he wasn't going. So he made a promise to himself that he will train his kids and give them the best education and all that. So I remember after my WAEC exams, I had this discussion with my dad at the balcony. I remember clearly. I said, Dad, I want to play football. I want to follow my heart. I remember my dad back then, he was literally pleading. He was saying, you should go to school. I remember he said, whatever level of education you want to attain, I will make it happen. If I don't have the money, if I have to borrow, I will borrow to make sure that you get to that level. And I don't know how to explain this, man. I wasn't kind of trying to be disrespectful or like not trying to be stubborn, not want to listen to my dad and all that. It's just like I say, people who know me, they know how much I love the game, man. I ate football, I bred food, everything was literally football, man. And I said that I want to play football because I don't want to combine education and football, because I felt back then that it would be a burden, like, going to lectures and coming back and going to training, combining these things, that's going to be too much. I just want to focus only on football. I remember my dad, a bit of him was disappointed, because he loved education. He loved education so much. But he said, okay, if that's what you want, I hope you achieve it, and I hope God guides you and, leads you, to live the dream that you want to achieve. And back then my father had a lot of health issues. My father had diabetes when he was 28. You know, for over 3 decades, my father was diabetic. I saw my dad every day of his life. He was on meds. He was taking medicine. I remember back then when I think I was like maybe 10 or 11 or so. I remember asking him, Dad, why is it that every morning you are taking medicine? Every day you are taking medicine. What sort of illness that never heals? Like, it's every day you have to take medicine. I remember he laughed then. He said, son, don't worry. When you grow, you will understand. And my father had diabetes, and the diabetes affected his kidney. And if you eat lots of protein, at some point it affects your kidney. It affected his kidney, and also at some point my father had eye issues, eye problem. I think glaucoma. We took him to literally, I think the best hospital in Nigeria, the best eye hospital in Nigeria back then, Eye Foundation Lagos. Did the operation, but somehow I don't know if the operation was successful or not. I really can't tell. He came back, he wasn't seeing clearly. At some point, my father was not seeing. And then I left, I finished my high school, so I was staying with my dad literally every day. We were, we're always taking a piece out of each other, always having these jokes and banter and all of that. Just like talking about it gives me this sort of nostalgic feeling. I had a great relationship with my dad. That's why when he died, I really felt it, It was really hard for me to deal with. So when my father died, when he was ill, I was literally, if you want to go to toilet, you want to use the toilet, I'll be the one to take him. You want to see the doctor, it's me. Everything, literally everything, it was me. So at that point, we developed this sort of, amazing relationship. This great, the bond was, was good. We were always, he told me lots of stories, gave me lots of advice, and I got so close to my dad, got to know my dad as a person, and his journey, and the things that he went through, and all of that. So that made me develop this sort of love, and I had immense pride for my dad because nobody gave him nothing. Everything he achieved was as a result of, he was tenacious, this willpower, and, I in terms of mentality, I think I have the mentality of my dad because I am someone that I never give up. I keep trying, I don't mind how many times I've failed. I just keep going out there trying and all of that. So when he died, I think I wasn't even an adult when he died. I was still young, and it was really hard for me. So back then, after my father died, I started playing football. I was in the area we lived. I was going to, there was a school called St. Mary's. I was going there. I bought kit, bought football kit, and all the football is football kits and all of that. So I was taking football to that St. Mary's school. In the evening, I would just go there. I would learn how to shoot. I would just practice my skills and all that. So also there was also other schools around us. I think St. Mary's Primary, Obuzo Primary School, St. Thomas. I was always taking football. I was always, in the morning, I would just take football there to the field. I was just, practicing my skills. I was just playing and all that. Sometimes people see me and like, why are you playing alone? But it was just like I was just, trying to give myself a chance to live my dream. I remember back then I saw something on the internet. They said Chelsea Football Academy was hosting a trial in Abuja. They kind of trying to scout players, so that you have to pay for registration. Back then I didn't have money. I remember I sold my phone to my friend. I remember vividly. Otika, I think. Yeah, I sold my phone to Otika. 6,500 Nigerian money, 6,500 Nigerian money, just to register for the trial. So I sent the money, and it ended up being a scam, man. I remember back then it was really hard. But I kept going, I was going on the internet, I was looking for agents, scouts. I used to send over 100 messages a day, 100 mails. I was sending lots of messages to lots of agents, I'm a football player, I'm young, I want to play football, this is my thing. Yeah, it wasn't so easy. So 2014, I met a certain man on Twitter, Mr. Ross. Ross, he was managing a Twitter account, Mayoka Football Academy. So I remember I sent him a message. I said, I'm a football player from Nigeria. I want to play football. I would like to play in your academy. remember back then, Ross sent me a message. He said, Victor, if you can get a ticket, so if you can get a visa to Spain, I can get you a ticket so you can come and join the academy. I was like, I don't even know how to go about the visas and all that. And he said, okay, hopefully maybe in future, you never know. Then later, I think I had two brothers living in Mozambique back then. Two of my brothers were living in Mozambique back then. So I was telling my mom and brothers that I want to move to Mozambique and, try, and see if I could, achieve my dream there. I wanted to move and all that. So I remember I moved to Mozambique. 2015, I moved to Mozambique. And, I was staying with my brother. And I remember back then when I wanted to move to Mozambique, I told Mr. Ross, I said, I want to go to another country to try to see if I will, will live my dream. It was so full of pride for me, a player at your age, want to go to a country that is not his, don't know the language and all that. That's awesome, Rose admired me from that moment, So when I got to Mozambique, I was with my brother. Then there was a local team I was playing, Eagle Shooting Stars, and so I got to that team. I was literally the youngest player in that team. I was just so young. I was very, very young. So my teammates were like 7 years older than me, 5, 10. They were just like more mature than all that. So I came to that team and I became the best. I don't want to say the best player, but I somehow became one of the best players in that team, and I became also the first choice striker in that team. We had Chris then. Chris was a good striker, very tall, average. We had Eric, we had Christian, we had Eric, and then we had Eva is a Cameroonian. Eva was playing as a striker, but when I came to that team, Eva moved back to midfield because the way I was playing, we were playing a tournament back then, Copa de Guilain. Man, I was scoring goals for fun. I was scoring goals. That striking position became my, I became the first choice. And so back then, there was one of our players back then who was playing, but I think he had a serious injury, then he stopped playing. So he started acting as an agent. Atem was also a Cameroonian. Atem is also a Cameroonian. Atem told me, Victor, I have a trial for you, Costa do Sol. Costa do Sol one of the big teams in Mozambique. Play Mozambique professional football, in first division. Back then, I had an injury. I was nursing. I had a groin injury, and a footballer's dream is to play football in the highest level. You just want to go to, you want to play professional. So if there is an opportunity to go for a trial, you don't want to say no. You want to go. So when he told me that, I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I had injury, but man, I'm gonna go. I want to go. And so I remember I went for that trial with my teammates. We were two, myself and Bello. And then the first day, the then coach was Nelson Santos. Nelson Santos is a Portuguese football coach. He coached Belenese, but he coached for a youth team before he was signed, to manage Costa do Sol. So when we got there, the first day he arranged a football match with I think another professional football team. I remember we won 4-0. I scored in that game. I had a nice man. I had a great game. I remember after the game, I was just juggling the ball. The coach and the assistant coach was just like they looked at me. I felt maybe I could have a chance to sign. When you had a great game and the coaches looked at you in a certain way. So I thought maybe I could have a chance to sign. And then the second day, it was second day was really difficult, man. So we went there and there was this sort of, people don't understand how intense professional football is. If you are not physically fit, you cannot play professional football. Nah, it's so intense, man. Sometimes people look at what, these players, what they do on television, like, this is so easy. Because of this little injury, say you're not going to play. Man, professional football is so intense that if you are not 100% fit, you cannot cope. The intensity is crazy. I remember back then, the second day we went and the coach, there was this physical game that we were playing, and a football pitch. That we were 22 players. We were on this side of the football pitch. Then the other side was free. Nobody was on the other side. And then we have team A and team B. So team A, we have to, team A, we have to pass. Team A will be passing the ball, while we, team B, we will be chasing them. So they might just pass the ball for like maybe, 2 or 3 passes. Then one of them, we run to the other side, and they will, kick the ball, to that person. So we, team B, we have to chase, try to get the ball from him, and team A will also join. So when when we get there, they will also pass the ball, maybe 2 or 3 passes. Then they will another player, from team A will run to the other side, and then they will kick the ball back to this person. It was really intense. That if you are not fit, you cannot cope. I remember I was limping. I went with I had an injury already, so I was limping. I knew I didn't do well that day. I couldn't cope. The intensity was crazy. So after the trial, and then we left, and we came again the next day. The last day, I think that was when there was also this. In football, there are lots of ball work. There are so many ball works that sometimes, if the coach or if they don't teach you how to, you won't be able to get it right. And I remember that particular ball work, we were just like, doing that ball work, and I didn't get my right. I didn't get it right, and my friend also, my teammate Bello, didn't get his right also. I remember the coach sent us off the pitch. We couldn't get it right, and I wasn't used to it. I've never seen that type of ball before, and the coach sent us off the pitch. I remember we were walking off the pitch. Bello said to me, "Victor, this is the most embarrassing moment of my career," because there were lots of players, fans watching the training section, players, man. Bello said to me, "Victor, this is the most embarrassing moment of my career." I remember I didn't even utter a word. I was just processing the whole thing. Looking back now, that moment wasn't just the most embarrassing moment of my own career. Also, it was just like, it was the most humiliating moment of my life. I've never had any moment as humiliating as that one. I remember I got back home. I told Mr. Ross, I said, I went to try out, but I didn't make it. He said, "Come on, Victor, this is a good experience for you going forward. This is going to help you. Don't think too much. You stay young. You still have many years ahead of you." So then I kept going. I was training, and we had a team that we used to play every Sunday. There was a man called Malageta. He loved football so much. So every Sunday, we used to go and play for him. And after, if we win, he gives us 200 Mozambique money, 200 Mete cash, buys us Coca-Cola and a bread. In Mozambique, it's called pound, and a round stuff made of beans. In Nigeria, it's called akara, but in Mozambique, it's called bajia. So if we win, he gives us 200 Coca-Cola, bread, and that's bajia, that stuff made of beans. So we will eat it, we're just trying to survive. If we don't win, if we draw, he gives us 100 Mozambique money. So we were just we were playing, trying to survive and all that. And then I had an issue with my brother. I fell out with my brother. Mr. Ross started sending me money from, UK, Western Union, because I wasn't doing anything. I was just playing football, no work. So he started sending me money, trying to support me. And then he also sent me tablets. So that tablet was the reason why I had issue with my brother. So he sent me that tablet. So that tablet got to Mozambique. And I was waiting for them to deliver. It took lots of time. It was like the delay was too much. So I decided to go to the city to check out why, to the post office to know why they haven't delivered and all that. So that day, my brother asked me to stay in his shop. He had a cosmetic shop. He asked me to stay in his shop. That's you want to go somewhere. So I locked the shop and went to the city to try to know why they haven't delivered, And I got there and I got the tablet that day. So because they got some information and the tracking number and all that, so they gave me a tablet that day. I remember coming back, and I came back and my brother was back and he was really furious. Why did you leave the shop and all of that? I just, told him I wanted to go and, pick up stuff, and he was really furious because back then I think I had issues with my document then. So he was like, what if you, get caught and, because your document was not complete and all of that. But then he didn't let me get in the house that night. That day I didn't get in the house. So I slept at a friend's house. So the next morning I went to his shop. I was like, since you don't want me to get in the house, I want to leave. He said, okay. He got in his car. He drove home and he said I should go home. I should go and meet him at home. When he left, I went home. So I packed my stuff, man. I didn't even know where to go. So I packed my stuff and, I left. So I told Mr. Ross that, look at what happened. I just, fell out with my brother. Mr. Ross was really angry. He said, Victor, I will never allow you to suffer. I will never allow you to go a day without food. Don't worry, I'm here for you. I will try to help you. I have the contact. Mr. Ross had all the contact in the world. I saw contacts, Manchester City, Barcelona. He was into football, and he was also the chairman of Celtic Football Club in Scotland. They were playing, I think, Scottish 6th Division League. So I saw Mr. Ross had the contact. He had an academy in Spain, Mallorca Football Academy. I knew this man was into football. So he had what it takes to, take my career to the next level. So Mr. Ross, then he sent me money. I moved in with a friend. I started living together with somebody. We were sharing the rent together. So he sent me money, bought television, bought me cable network, Go TV back then. I was living okay. And Mr. Ross, we started making plans to bring me to UK. He said, okay, we speak with the UK, I think UK immigration to see how they can bring me over to UK and all of that. I think we tried, but it didn't work for so many reasons, because I was a foreigner in Mozambique, so there were a lot of issues, document and all that. Then I had an injury, back then. Later I had an injury for 6 months. I didn't play. I remember the same agent, the same guy that got me that try to Costa del Sol, Atem, the Cameroonian. He called me, says, Victor, I have a try. Atem believed in me so much. He always say, Victor, you as good as Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm like, come on, man, that's a bit of exaggeration, man. He believed in me so much. And so the trial, he said I have to go. That trial was with Liga Musman, Liga Desportiva de Maputo. That's the richest club in Mozambique, and I think the most successful club too. They had lots of success, and they usually send players to Europe. They had lots of connection. So, and one of my teammates also, Eva, the Cameroonian, was also on trial in that team. So the next day, I picked up my boots. I haven't been playing. I was injured for 6 months. I haven't been playing. But one thing about my life is that I don't know how to say no. I mean, if there is an opportunity to live my dream, I always go. I don't care if I fail 100 times, 200 times, man. I always want to try one more. I always want to go out there. Failure is not something that, it doesn't worry me. I'm not faced by failing. Failure is not something that gives me a problem. Like, I don't mind if I fail 100 times or if I get rejected 100 times. I always want to go out there and try. I always want to go out there and put myself out there and keep trying. So the next morning I went to Eva's house, and Eva took me to the club. So that day we didn't do much. It was just more like ball work. I remember Eva saying to me, if these people don't sign me, I'm going back to Cameroon, man. I'm so done with life here. Man, I can't, take this anymore. I remember that at the end of the day, I went home and the agent called me, said, Victor, the coach said you shouldn't come again. I think you're not the kind of player that he wants or something. I said, okay. So Eva later got signed in that team. Luckily, he got signed and he was sent out. I think they sent him out on loan. he went on loan, and later they sold him to Costa do Sol. He ended up, winning the Golden Boot in Mozambique League, and then had a brief stint at, Portuguese club, Division 2 club, because that back then I was chatting with him on Instagram. He had a brief stint at the Portuguese club, then played Chippa United South African League, and also Orlando Pirates. I really don't know where he's playing right now. I think last year or so he was playing for Orlando Pirates. So, but I think 2 weeks ago I saw something, but I'm not so sure. I wasn't so sure if it's correct, if it was correct. I saw something like he was playing in Italy, I think Division 3 or so, but I'm not so sure. I lost contact with him. So he got signed, and that became his big break. So then I had a kind of at some point I couldn't get money from Mr. Ross. Western Union issue. He was sending money to me via Western Union. At some point, Western Union said I have exceeded limits, that I couldn't get money for 3 months, and that 3 months was, I don't even know how to describe that 3 months. I think that 3 months is, looking back now, that 3 months was it was one of the most difficult period of my life. There were days I spent the whole day without food. Like, I went the whole day not having anything. Many days I went to bed without food. And but that period also shaped me. It taught me a lot of things. And sometimes I used to, back then, I couldn't go to my brother. I fell out with my brother. Then the other of my other brother, yeah, he wasn't doing so, financially. But I don't want to bother him, and I just want to do my own thing. And I can't call family at home in Nigeria and stuff. In Nigeria, if you travel, you don't want to start ringing your family at home and start saying, they should send you. Now, you have to sort yourself. I mean, this is the mentality in Nigeria. Literally everyone in Nigeria have this mentality. When you travel abroad, you don't want to start contacting your family at home and, start requesting for money. I can't eat. You don't want to do all these things. You don't do these things, man. I was kind of trying to sort myself and all of that. I used to go to a restaurant. I would sit there, literally hoping that someone would just say, "Hey, do you want food?" And sometimes I could stay and, spend the whole day. Nobody gives me anything. I go back home, no food and all that. Sometimes I get lucky and someone buys me food and all that, Sometimes the guy that sells food, Oyibo, I had a great relationship with him. Sometimes he gives me food. It was, was playing football. But despite of the fact that in that 3 months, I couldn't get money from Mr. Ross. I was still playing. I was still training. Sometimes you have to go play football without food. The condition was crazy, man. So, but those periods shaped me. It built resilience, in me. I became so strong. Like, there isn't anything you can. It's hard to break me, man, because I've been through a whole lot. And that period taught me that sometimes God lets you go through, things today so you can help others tomorrow. And that period taught me empathy. It taught me compassion. Now, you can't come to me saying you haven't had food. Nah, it's no way. If you can't come to me and like you are starving or you don't have what to eat, if I have, I could give you the only money I have. I have been there, man. Nobody deserves to, nobody deserves to experience that. Nobody deserves to, go the whole day without food. Nobody deserves that, man. It's an awful experience. And it taught me, that period taught me a lot of things, it shaped me, made me become strong. And yeah. So at some point, Mr. Ross said, why don't you go back to Nigeria? It would be a lot easier, to bring you over to Europe. Since Nigeria is your country, why don't you go back to Nigeria? Okay, I thought about it, say yes, it's not a bad idea. I remember he sent me an invitation letter. He said he's going to send me 2 invitation letters. one with his academy in Spain, Mallorca Football Academy. He had an academy back there. Then the other, I think, from Portugal, Mr. Rose has a house in Portugal, so he wanted to send me an invitation, like a kind of a visit or something. So he said either of these invitation, if you go to embassy, they definitely will give you one. The academy was registered, it wasn't just academy that was just set up. It was registered and everything was there. I thought about it, and because of that reason, I went back to Nigeria. But before then, I had a friend who was saying, Victor, why don't you go to South Africa and you will have a chance, to play football. I said, why do I need to go to South Africa? I have a sponsor paying my bills, sending me money. And, a lot of white football agents, they always have this mentality that African players are not loyal. That once an African player, you help an African player, and tomorrow maybe he gets another opportunity, he will just leave you, forget about everything. I wanted to be different. I wanted to show Mr. Ross that I wasn't like that. I was different, And I am someone that if you do something for me, a part of me feels indebted. I feel like I owe you, So I thought, how I want to show that I wasn't like that I am someone you could trust, for everything you've done for me. When I fell out with my brother, helped me with money to pay rent and, food. I can't betray you, man. You are also into football. So I don't see a reason why I want to, start looking for other opportunities when I have someone in football had all the contact and all that. And so I couldn't go to South Africa. And also there was a time one of my teammates gave me, I think he brought a deal, I think Switzerland. He said there was an opportunity to go to Switzerland. I wasn't even entertaining any offer. If you bring anything to me, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I have a sponsor, I have a manager. My relationship with Mr. Ross got stronger. He became like, I took him like a foster father. He was like a foster father to me. So he used to call me foster son. We had a great relationship. So I never thought about betraying him or maybe doing something. Nah. So I was just loyal to him. So he sent me the invitation letter. I went back to Nigeria. Before then, he said he was going to send me money. I wasn't working, so I wasn't making money. It's just literally football, So he sent me the invitation letter. I went back to Nigeria, and I got to Nigeria. I got back to Nigeria. My relationship with Mr. Ross deteriorated. It went really bad. I was saying, Mr. Ross, send me the money. You said you're gonna send me, to buy stuff. I can't go back to Nigeria and still expect my family to still, I wasn't working. They knew, but there are things you cannot go back and start asking money and all of that. I wanted to, buy things for myself. Okay, he kept saying, Victor, I will send money, this, and all of that. And my relationship with him got deteriorated. That was very hard. I was, thinking so much. If I had known, I would have, stayed back in Mozambique, maybe even go to South Africa, because there were also some players, I think, Emmanuel Emenike, former Super Eagles player, I think he started his career in South Africa. I think played in Mpumalanga Ace, Mpumalanga FC, right? So in South Africa, the football condition is better. I think in Africa, they had the best football condition, in terms of how they treat players, how they, take care of players and all that. So at some point, Mr. Ross said, okay, Victor, I will now send you an invitation letter. Okay, before then, I spoke to my brother, the first child of my parents, my eldest brother, my biggest brother. So I said, bro, I had an invitation letter, a Spanish invitation, that I want to go to embassy, if you could help me with the visa fee. I remember back then he said to me, Victor, I said, I have settled you, and that he doesn't have a tree where he plucked money. And I think the settlement he made then was, because when I moved to Mozambique, he paid the flight tickets and gave me like $150. I think then he gave me $150 and all that. So I think that was the settlement that he meant. And so Mr. Rose letter said, okay, Victor, I will send you an invitation letter. UK, I'm from UK. I'm a British citizen, so I think it's a lot more easier for you to come to UK. He sent me an invitation. I went to the UK embassy. They denied me visa, and which it was justify it was the correct decision, because they said I didn't show any reason or prove that I had a relationship with Mr. Ross. There was no picture of us together, and he didn't put his back statement that if I come to UK, he would be the one, to take care of me and all of that. So yeah, so I sent the letter to Ross. Okay, Victor. Okay, I will now write another letter stating that I will take care of you. I will attach my bank statement, my passport data page, and all that. He sent me his passport data page, bank statement, but then the letter, he couldn't send the letter. He kept saying, Victor, busy, busy, busy. Like, come on, it was excuses, man. I said, you just need to get this done. And he had a typewriter in his home. He doesn't even need to go out, He could just 10 minutes, type the. He kept giving excuses, Victor this, Victor that. Then I was playing for a local team back then, Dream Stars Football Club, just a local team in my area. So then I met a player, former Abia Warriors captain, Nelson Onyekachi. He played for Abia Warriors, played for Warriors, Nelson Onyekachi. That was the local team I was playing then. We had a match that we played. I scored 2 goals, although we lost. I think we lost 3-2. I scored 2 goals. The first goal I scored was a brilliant goal. So Nelson saw that goal. So after the game, okay, not after the game, I think later in the next training section, Nelson came, he saw me, he said, you're a very good football player. What are you doing in this area? You don't deserve to be here. You shouldn't be here. So he told me, back then, I think he wasn't playing for Abia Warriors back then. I think he was no longer with them. So he said he was Abia Warriors as a former captain, and that he will help me, that he will speak with his agent, Franz Honora, to try and help me. So I remember he contacted Franz Honora. Franz Honora said I should, make a video clip of me playing, I think, a football match, playing so he can send to so he could send to a club, club, so they could, maybe see if there is a chance for a trial. So I remember I made a video, I sent to him, and then they said I have to pay, I think, 150,000 Nigerian money. That was about, I don't know how much it was back then, I think $300 or so, or $400. My brother, the one I fell out with in Mozambique, so he moved to South Korea, so he was the one that paid for, he sent me the money. Then I paid. And after some time, they sent me an invitation letter, Edmonton Football Club, Canada. I remember I saw the invitation. I went to Twitter. I searched the club. I sent them a message. I said, is this invitation from you guys? They said, this is not from them. This is not from them. So they said it was not from them. So I remember I told Nelson, I sent Nelson the message. Said, look at what they said. This message didn't come from them. And Nelson contacted the Franz Honora. The guy was like, why did he have to go? Why did the player have to go and contact the club? You shouldn't have done that. It's against the rule and all of that. Man, at some point he stopped picking up our calls, and Nelson was furious that the man wants to spoil his name, that he wasn't aware of what the man was up to and all of that, that he would try to get the money back and all that, So later, I also had another opportunity from Bayelsa Queens, Ogalabo. She was a goalkeeper. She also saw me playing. She was like, nah, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. You were a good player. You shouldn't be here. She loves the way I strike, the way I play football and all that. So she said she played for Bayelsa Queens. So, and Bayelsa Queens, Bayelsa Queens are located in Bayelsa. So, and he had contact with Siasia Football Academy. Siasia is a former Nigerian Super Eagles coach, former Nigerian national team coach, and also former Super Eagles player. So he's a very popular guy in Nigeria. So he said Siasia Football Academy, he had contacts, he had connection, he can take me there that lots of players are moving from Europe, from that academy. If I play there for a season, definitely I'm going to move to Europe. That I'm good, So we made arrangements. He spoke to I think the manager, he want to bring a player, you know, and then myself and two other players, two other of my teammates, so three of us, we went to Bayelsa to meet the manager. And from where we live, from our city to Bayelsa, it's just like 6 hours away. So very, very far, 6 hours journey. So we went and we got there. We couldn't see the manager. I mean, we were calling him and we don't even understand what he was saying. It was just like, I don't know, it was a very disappointing experience. And man, we couldn't see them and we went back. So we said we're going to reschedule and all of that. But that was it. The rescheduling never happened. We never went back there. And then later Nelson called me. I think it was 2018. Nelson called me, said, Victor, I am currently at Niger Tornadoes now. That I told the coach Erasmus, I told Coach Erasmus about you. Victor, I believe in you. I know how good you are as a football player. And someone is going to call you tomorrow. If they call you, go and, show what you can, I believe in you. And that period, I was injured 3 months. I've not been playing for 3 months. I had an hamstring injury, but I had an hamstring injury then, so I wasn't playing. But like I said, if you call me any period and say, bro, there is a chance for a try, I never say no. I never say no, man. I don't know how to say no. I just want to go out there and play, regardless of whether I've been playing or it's football. It's a game that I know. I always believe that even if I am not fit, if I maybe touch the ball or something like that, maybe the coach, might see the quality and that this player is good and all that. So so the next morning, former Ingba captain Chidozie Johnson called me. Chidozie Johnson is a top professional football player, very famous in Nigeria. I think he won CAF Champions League with Enyimba, back-to-back CAF Champions League. Chidozie Johnson called me. He said, come to Obahe Primary School and come and train with the All-Stars. These All-Stars are, players that they have played football before, they know the game, they have played in the highest level, in a good level. Man, I have not been playing for 3 months and I was injured. So I had to, rub the hamstring. I had to rub and massage and, I wore something, to kind of help me play. I got there, man. I played really good, played very, very good, man. Obviously, it's football. It's a sport I've been playing for. It's a game I've been playing for literally all my life. So come on, I'm not afraid. Go there, do my thing. So after the game, in front of me, he called Coach Erasmus on. He said, Coach, very good player, your kind of player. And the coach said, really, this player is good? Said, really? Okay. If you say he's good, I trust you because you know the game. You have played in a top level. So if you say a player is good, obviously the player is good. They said I should come to Mina because Niger Tornadoes, they play in the Nigerian Professional League. So they said that night I should come to Mina. I remember that day I got home, I packed my things, I took night bus. The chairman of the club, the chairman of the club, his son, Mustafa Hamza, was calling me, Victor, where are you? We are waiting for you. Where are you? I said, I'm coming, man, So I remember I got to Mina. It was really a long journey because I think 12 hours away from my city. I took a night bus. It was a really long journey. So I got there the next morning. So they picked me. They took me to the team apartment where the players, stays. I remember the team. They went, for an away match. Yeah, they went for an away match. I think against. They went on an away match against Sharks of Port Harcourt. So they came back that day. I arrived. They came back in the evening. I got to Mina in the morning. So they came back in the evening. So. Nelson said, okay, now the team is back, but I think we cannot see the coach today. Maybe we will see the coach tomorrow. So Nelson was telling me, Victor, I know how you play football. I have seen you. I know your quality. Man, I know Nigerian league. I have played in this league. Captain Abia Waros, you are good. You can do it, man. If you are not good enough, I will not bring you here. You know. So the next day, training section, the coach said, okay, I think when they came back, Nelson ranked the coach. The coach said, okay, that we should meet tomorrow in the training section. Yeah. So I remember in the training session, I got there, and we didn't see the coach. And Nelson said, let it not be that these people have sacked this coach. Because back then the team was having a poor run of form. They were not playing well, and the coach was kind of Mourinho kind of coach. He was always, shouting and all that, that kind of coach, always giving head dryer to players. And most players, don't like that sort of thing, So we got there. We didn't see the coach. Nelson said to me, let it not be that these people have sacked the coach. And the assistant coach came. I think he was an interim coach. He was appointed as an interim coach then. I can't remember his name. I don't know his name. I don't know him. I remember back then he gave a speech. He said, for some reasons the chief coach is not here. I think the club is trying to make a decision. We don't know yet. If you are a player invited by the chief coach, but invited by the coach, we don't need you. You should go back. I think he said something like, I have my own players or something. Man, I was really disappointed. And then after the speech, we had the training section. Man, I was playing good. Regardless of the injury, I was playing good. I was on the pitch. I was saying to myself, is this the professional football? I mean, the players, with all due respect, they were good players, but I knew that a lot of players there, I was better than them 100%. I knew that I was better. I was saying to my, even I started as a right wing. I was playing from the right wing. The player that was playing fullback, he was saying, bro, why do you keep running? He said I should stop running, because I was always running. My type of game is not, I'm not the kind of player that just, wait for the ball and all of that. Nah, that's not my kind of, I'm always making move from right wing. I make runs, in between and all of that. Man, I like to, make move. I don't like, staying at the place. And I remember I was like, is this the professional football? And I wasn't even at a good, the condition was not good because I was injured. And professional footballers, they have good, the condition is good. They stay in a nice apartment, get good salary, they can take care of themselves. I always say to myself, if I get to a level where I am being paid, I don't have to worry about, these and all of that. Just play football, man. I always know that I am going to play in the quality and the level that I'm going to play at is going to be very, 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 very good, very, very high, So I remember after the training section, I went back home. We went back to the team apartment. Nelson was disappointed. He rang the coach. Coach said that we should come to his hotel where he was lodging. And I remember getting there, the coach said, are you the player that they asked to, are you the player they sent to me? I said, yes. The coach was really sorry for me. He said, he showed me the list of players that he wanted to sign, that the plan was, if he came to training that day, he would take me to the manager, the chairman of the club, and and they would just sign me. That was the plan. If he was in the training session that day, just take me to the chairman of the club, the Reds. For Nelson to say that I am a good player, and also Chidozie Johnson, obviously, who in Nigerian football, Nigerian Football League is very well known, and you play in a very distant level, won the CAF Champions League. For these two players to say that you are good. I don't need any more trials. The plan was just, if you come, then the coach said that he had offers coming already, that I should not worry that if he gets signed, that he's gonna take me, he's gonna invite me. Man, I remember I went back home, very, very tired. I don't even know how to explain that. I don't know what that feeling was, but it just was a very terrible one. Then after then, I had also another experience. That was an opportunity to go to Belarus. That was during COVID, I think 2021. I I paid the management. There was a management in Nigeria, so they were kind of sending players to Europe for trials and all that. So I can't remember how I got in contact with them. I think one of my teammates or coach. I can't remember how I got in contact with them. So I got in contact with them. They said okay, that they said that I have to go on a trial to Belarus. You know that if you play well, you get signed and all that. So I have to pay for the visa, for the invitation and all of that. Obviously, I didn't want to pay because I have been in the receiving end in the in the past where I paid for something like when Nelson said his agent Franz Honora said I should pay for invitation letter to get clubs to send invitation letter. It ended up being scam. So I was like but they assured me that it's Ray. I think it was my friend that gave me that contact. I think, yeah. So I remember I paid, they sent the, visa. The visa was a cable visa. They sent the visa, and they said, okay, I have to come over to Lagos for traveling, so we could, go for the trial. Myself and two other players, and so I remember I went to Lagos, and I was staying in a hotel, a small hotel, So I was paying for the hotel. I was also paying for my own food and all that. So we got the ticket. They fixed the dates for traveling. We got the tickets, and I was waiting for travel. I was training. Then a day before traveling, the management came to me and said, Victor, you cannot travel. We got a message from the club, and the agent said that you cannot travel because of COVID. They are not allowing people to, enter in the country, enter into the country at that moment. So I said, okay, we have to reschedule, so that we have to wait until they give us a date. So the second time they gave us a date, we went back. I paid, I think, $100 to reschedule and all of that. We rescheduled again, and I remember. Oh, I went home. I was training, getting ready, hoping that yes, I'm gonna go on a trial. Second time to travel, they came back. The management came to me again, say, Victor, they say we cannot travel again. These, the COVID and all of that. I was like, why? What's happening, man? So that was okay. I said fine. So I was still in the hotel, paying for hotel bills, paying everything. It was not that easy for me. So the third time we went back and fixed the dates. The third time, and when it was time to travel again, they said, Victor, we cannot travel. And they said we should wait. I got really angry. I got really, really angry. I said, I'm going back to my city, my state, where I was living. I'm going back home. I'm not staying here again, paying for hotel and all of that. And you guys don't know what you guys are doing. This is not, I'm not even sure if this is legit anymore. You guys should refund me my money and all of that. So I went back home, and I got home after 1 week. The other two players traveled. They sent me pictures of them, their passport, the name, the visa that they sent. They were holding literally everything. I saw it, I was like, I couldn't even express that feeling if I had waited for 1 week. Every time I came close to maybe, getting to my dream or living my dream, that was already sort of disappointment. I couldn't understand why it was always like that. Every time I'm close, every time I was close, I really don't know. Even today, it's still a mystery to me. They say they cannot refund me. I am the one that decided to, back off from the deal. I didn't get the money, even the ticket money. I think I lost that ticket money. The agent kept saying they will refund. I lost everything, and I think that at that point my passion for football began to deteriorate, began to regress really, really bad. But I was still playing. Had Then I was playing for another team later, coached by Kochima. I was playing in Kochima's team. Then he gave me some contacts and all that, but nothing came out, Oman, Ukraine, Turkey, it didn't work, just so all of those things has really, is like not living my dream is something that definitely will haunt me for the rest of my life. Man, everyone who knows me knows how much I love the game. The impact, man. I was a Cristiano. I was a massive Cristiano Ronaldo fan. I remember back then, I used to follow Cristiano. If Cristiano doesn't drink, I say, okay, I'm not gonna drink. I remember back then I read that Cristiano doesn't eat red meat. I said to my mom, if you cook, I don't want red meat. Don't put red meat for me. That was how dedicated I was, and I don't smoke, I don't drink. I was just, I don't know. I don't even know what woman was. I was just like focused. Everything was football, and so I just thought I should, Mr. Ross, all the promises he gave me, he couldn't fulfill. He kept saying, even last time, he said, Victor, I want to buy a football club in Gambia. I had a friend, who lives in Gambia. I've been visiting Gambia lately. I want you to come to Gambia, so we meet. So I could see how I can, just like, come on, man. You've been giving me these promises for how many years, man? How long have you been giving me these promises? You couldn't come to Nigeria to see how you could help me. You gave me your promise. You made me come back from Mozambique to Nigeria. I shouldn't have. Even I had a conversation with my coach in Mozambique back then, Coach Charles Mike. He said to me, Victor, are you still playing? I said, Coach, I've not been playing. I think since this year, I've only played once. He said, Victor, if you had stayed in Mozambique, you would have signed. The quality was there. You were a good player, scoring goals for fun. Man, I don't know what that feeling is, not living my dream. I gave literally everything, sacrificed all my life. I gave up education for football. I sacrificed education for football. Now, I want to use this opportunity to tell, this is just more like young football players out there who, man, this game, football is cruel, man. Because you worked hard does not mean that you're going to make it, because you could be the best football player, but I think there is a thin line between luck and success and luck in football. If you don't get lucky, you might be the best player in the world and nothing happens. And sometimes, and there's, nepotism and favoritism in football, especially in Nigeria. Sometimes we've been in situations where you go on a trial, you see players that's not even as good as you are getting picked, and you are sitting there asking yourself, how is this player picked ahead of me? It's just like, I don't know what that feeling is. Everything that has happened in my life has shaped me, even though a part of me now, sometimes I think about it. If I spent over a decade of my life, chasing this dream. If I had maybe learned a skill, or if I had gone to school, maybe by now my life would have been a lot better. Obviously, my life is not that bad, but it's just like 11 years of my life I was pursuing a career in football from 2012, I think, to 2023 or so was just football, man. I think since last year, that was when I have not been playing that much. Now you've got to pay bills, a lot of things. You've grown, man, it's not so easy. So I want to tell young football players out there, man, don't listen to promises. If there is an opportunity in front of you, take it. Football is a sport that if you are in your early teen, now you are young, there is more opportunity for you have more age ahead of you. But you get to a certain level, maybe in your early 20s, you don't have that much opportunity, and you get to a certain age, the opportunity it's not gonna, you won't have that much opportunity. So and it's a sport that you only play for 10 to 15 years. If there is an opportunity, don't listen to someone giving you promises saying, I'm going to do this for you. If there is an opportunity, take it. A lot of opportunities came in my career. I had a lot of opportunities in my career that if I had, maybe taken them, maybe I would have achieved my dream. But I wanted to be loyal to Ross. Obviously, someone who picked me when I fell out my brother, I had nowhere to stay, paid my rent, paid my food. So a part of me felt, yeah, I needed to be loyal to him. What else am I looking for? He had the contact in football. Manchester City sent me jerseys back then. He was the chairman of Circuit Football Club. I got lots of friends in Scotland then sending me messages. Victor, we saw you in Circuit Football Club website. They posted me when I wore their jersey. And, are you coming to Circuit? So Ross was in football, had the money, he had money and all of that. So I thought, that this man was going to take my career to the next level. But promises in football is just like it doesn't work in football. The opportunity in front of you, you've got to take it. And I want to advise young football players out there, please don't make the same mistake that I made. If my father were to be alive, I don't know how he would have feel, knowing that I gave up education that he loved. He wanted me to go to school. For him to say, whatever level you want to attend, I'm going to make it up. If I don't have the money, I'm going to borrow. He loved education, and now spent over a decade of my life pursuing football. I didn't live this dream. Now I've started a new journey in podcasting and trying to see what I can achieve. And I'm not afraid to fail. I've always tried to work hard and see what I can do for myself. But sometimes a part of me feels, I don't want to say I regret ever. Nah, I don't know what this feeling is. But I think that, so one of the biggest regret in life is if you never try, and maybe because you were afraid of something, you see something that you think that you can achieve, but you were afraid because you don't know if you're going to make it and all of that. I have never been afraid of failing. I've never been afraid of failure. I always go out there to try, regardless of how many times I've failed. So one of your biggest regrets in life is not what you failed at, but it's what you didn't try because you were afraid to try. So if you want to play football, please don't make the same mistake saying that you want to focus solely on football. Man, learn a skill. If there's an opportunity to go to school, please go to school. Football is a sport that out of 1,000 players, that went for a trial, only 10 might get signed. Is the sport is crew, man. Now a part of me doesn't even love football that much. Like, man, think about football sometimes. It makes me really sad, man. Gave literally all my life just in this game. Because of football, I did a lot of things. I don't smoke. Back then, the area I was living was bad. My friends back then were smoking and all that. I said, no, I don't need this thing, man. I don't take alcohol because alcohol would make you susceptible to injury. I was just like, man, the determination, the sacrifice, everything was there. But life doesn't always please everyone. And like I said, just because you gave everything, worked hard, putting all the effort, sacrifice everything, doesn't mean that you're going to make it. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful. So while you're playing football, try to maybe learn a skill, go to school, because there is no guarantee. I had the talent. I was a very good football player. The fact that I never saw any player that worked harder than me. I was a workaholic. People who know me will tell you, man, I was always training. I would go to the pitch, spend 2 hours in the St. Thomas Primary School, Buza Primary School, St. Mays. I was always training with my football, with my cone. Man, but at the end of the day, man, football gave me nothing. That's the reality. So I want to use all of these experiences to help young football players out there. Play this game, give everything, but let that be another option or something that you are doing in case if it doesn't work, because there is no guarantee. There is sometimes you need a bit of luck to play football. The local team I was playing, Evanga, the Cameroonian, he went on to play for. He went on to win highest scorer in Mozambique League, play for Chipa United, Orlando Pirates, one of the biggest clubs in South Africa. But when I came to that team, he moved back to midfield. I became the first choice striker. Obviously, the way I was playing, the way I was scoring goals. But today, he had a good career. But look at me. So sometimes it's not always don't get me wrong, ever very good player, fantastic player. But as at that time, nobody was better than me in that team in terms of striking and all, the way I was playing. Nah, nobody. That's the reality. But I'm happy when I see most of my teammates because I knew what we went through back then. But now some of them are doing okay, and when I see that, it really makes me happy because we deserve it. We really went through a whole lot. Mozambique was it was a terrible experience, but at the same time, it shaped me to the man I am today. Made me tenacious, made me, this resilience, determined, and I really can't see what can break me because, man, Mozambique broke me. Went days without food, playing football without food, coming back home from training, no food, and all. Man, it was terrible, but this is life. Anyway, I hope that some of these things I've shared, will help you to choose better, make the right decision. It's not always the way we think it in our head. I thought if I focus solely on football and not go to school, that I will have a chance, that I will live my dream. I always thought if I met Mr. Ross who was into football, that definitely I was going to play football. It's not. This life doesn't always work that way. So while you are doing what you are doing, playing football, make sure you have a second option. So this is my life. This is my story. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. And remember to like, share, subscribe, and follow. I am Billy, and that's what's up. Matt.